boys and girls. Today we are going to work on my 1978 Ford F250 Super Cab. I call it the Snowball effect because, well, I bought it to be a daily driver. And I was going to drive back and forth to work with it and use it for work. And I thought it was a great idea. Get rid of all those sensors, get rid of all the extra everything that goes on in these new trucks that you just can't fix. And you
get for 2010. The Cummins after-treatment system for 2010 consists of the Cummins particulate filter, a decomposition reactor with a diesel exhaust fluid dosing valve, an SCR catalyst, and electronic controls.
So you got to take it to the mechanic to fix it. And I drove it for about 3-4 months and went to lunch, came back to the job site. It's about 4 miles out of town. I basically pulled into the job site at a high idle and pulling up about where I park, and it just locked up.
Hepatitis, see you later.
The motor did not want to go. So I kind of wrenched on the crank a little bit to see if it would turn over. It would not turn over. It was locked. Took it to a mechanic, asked him what he thought it would be. Same thing. It was locked up. 3 or 4 days go by, kind of figure out what I'm going to do. See if I'm going to put a new motor in it, because it was locked up. It was not moving. And I was like, well, something happened. I was thinking timing chain, something came loose. So I got contemplating, and I said, I'm going to long-term this. I'm going to end up putting the 12-valve Cummins in it anyways. This just kind of speeded up the process a little bit. Well, did some little digging and ended up with a pretty decent 100,000 mile 12-valve Cummins. And I think it's the 215 horsepower. Came out of a 98 Dodge. I'm pretty sure they're called second gens. Not real keen on the old Dodge thing.
Well, duh.
You know, it kind of is what it is. Took it down to the diesel shop here in town. Say, hey, can you go through this, make sure everything's sound so I could put this in my Ford? Or maybe you guys could put it in my Ford. Sounds a lot easier to me if you put it in my Ford. I could get it all ready for you. You know, smarter, not harder kind of thing, you know. You guys know diesels? Probably should put it in, because I want it to be reliable. So what I did is I went and pulled the old 400 out. It's been sitting there patiently waiting ever since. Meanwhile, I took the Ford, got a harebrained idea, after doing the 12-valve Cummins with a G56 in it and a 205 transfer case. I thought it'd be a great idea to put Super Duty axles under it. I had a dually that had that Titan V10 in it. So I took the suspension and the Dana 80 dually rear end out of that 2001. We called it a dump truck because it basically all it did is haul stuff back and forth to the dump. And got to thinking, maybe I'll put a 2005 Super Duty front end on this so we have the high pinion with ball joints. And I got to thinking, what if I just put the suspension on a 2005? Then I don't get to ride like a leaf spring. I started putting it together. And nights and weekends and times that I could pull away from my job and put it together. Well, now my truck is sitting down at diesel shop getting the 12 valve put in it. So I'm here at the diesel shop. You can kind of see the snowball effect. It's getting the 12 valve compound turbos.
Let me tell you what Melbourne Post is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track outback, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-to-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some fucking muscle.
This is the point where it's at right now. We do have,
You know, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Super Duty axle, 2005. So this is kind of where it's at on the snowball effect. G56, like there on the.
You know, when I see a car like this, first thing I do is I say, would you look at this? You know what I mean?
G56. Yeah, I think she's gonna turn out pretty good. There's a suspension out of the 2001. Dana 80 that we put in there. Had to reconfigure the shocks coming around this backside. We've got to work on the inside, put some of that be quiet sound deadening through the whole thing. There's the parts that still need to go in it. Yeah. That also has 2005 Super Duty suspension. And turned out pretty good. Hydro boost. Yep. And that's kind of where we are today. Now, there's a lot more stuff that's going into that 12 valve with compound turbos and a G56, and it's gonna be a nice towing rig. I still got to build a flatbed for it. There's gonna be more videos to come on that, I guarantee it. But today's focus.
Dead on all morning.
How about that little fella?
Oh, that little guy. I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
I want to know what came loose in this motor to completely lock it up at 1,000 RPM. Get it over here out in the open and kind of tear into it and kind of see. I mean, I hate the space it takes up. It just really irks me.
You did it. You did it. It looked amazing.
Look at that. That looks like what you would buy from a store.
It should have been.
Look at all this floor space.
So
You
much.
do aerobics in here.
So many activities.
Do step class.
It's making my head spin. How many activities we can do?
It's gonna sit there until I figure out what to do. Because is it just a timing chain? I mean, obviously, I'm sure valves hit. If that came loose, bottomed out on pistons, there's a whole lot of stuff that could have happened right there. And, you know, why not watch the carnage? I always like carnage. Carnage is always kind of nice to watch. So, let me get it up on the stands, and let's start tearing into it. So, got her on the stand. I don't know if you guys ever put one of those on before on a motor stand, but they're kind of a bear. You got to have the right bell housing bolts, which this is 3/8, pretty normal. You just got to find the right long ones, and you know, looks just whatever works. As long as it doesn't fall off and it's tight and it's secure. That's all that really matters.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
So, I was draining the fluid in this thing, and I don't know how good that's going to pick up, but that is almost like gas. I mean, that stuff it's like water. So, there's definitely an overfueling problem going on, guaranteed. That thing is almost smells like two-stroke gas. It has so much in it. Yeah, the thing was flooding out. Of course, it had one of those nice Edelbrock carburetors on it that the best thing you can do with those things is throw them in the frickin' dumpster. They're just, I don't know. They're all nice and chromy, but I'd rather have a stock Quadrajet than an Edelbrock. So, anyways, I'll get back to it. Alright, well, it's kind of where we're sitting right now. Got the water pump off. About ready to dig into the timing cover. Well, it was not the timing chain. Sure wish it was.
God damn it! Are you trying to ruin me?
But it's not. So, there's a little slop in them, but doesn't look like it skipped a tooth. Doesn't look like anything's really bound up in there. So, alright, well that's not it. So when I'm tearing this apart, I'm looking at this and I mean, it looks good. I mean, look how clean this. That doesn't look like a motor that's barely even ran.
They're nice.
Both sides look like that. Just clean. Nothing's loose. So, yeah, that's, I don't know. We'll get back to you, I guess. So, got the intake off. I think I was a pretty big fan of that RTV. High heat silicone. As you see, that was the gasket.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Man, this guy. Yeah. Alright then. As far as that looks, all those look real good. Nothing's really bent. I ain't seeing anything bent. They're all spinning nice, freely. I mean, I don't know what it could be. That one's a little tight, but I'm sure it's on an open stroke. As long as that one. Yeah. Sheesh. Alright then. Let's just move on down the line. Take that one off the list. There's no wedge on that. So, let's flip this over and take off the oil pan and see what we get. Alright, let's go. What? Is gonna be door number 1. Door number 1. And alright. Well, they look almost all intact. I might have to dig even deeper to see what locked this thing up. Because, yeah. I mean, oil pan. There's a couple chunks. Nothing too drastic though. Alright, so I got the spark plugs out. Got a crank bolt on there. Oh, it's going, but man, is it tight. Oh, what do we got going on? I mean, that is way too tight for all the spark plugs to be out. Oof. Got a serious wedge going on there somewhere. What do we got here? There's something definitely tired in there. Oh yeah, that thing is
Very nice.
something had to roll in there that is causing this to be so tight. I don't know. It's still baffling to me. I mean, like I said, I was at like 1,000 RPM, so basically idling. So I see it rolls over, but to have to put that much pressure on that thing without spark plugs in it, yeah, there's something seriously going on. All right, I got that head off, and there's nothing. Smooth as a baby's butt in there. Smooth all the way up and down. Definitely looks like it was running a little rich, but I guess I'll tear apart the other side. We'll see where we're at. All right, well, I ain't seeing nothing that is out of the ordinary here. I mean, this is a very odd scenario, unless there's something in that one, which I don't think there is. It's a lot of carbon from this thing running so frickin' rich. That stupid frickin' carburetor. I ain't seeing anything. I don't know if you can see down in there, but you can still see the cross hatchets. So you can see in there. I mean, there's a little wear. I mean, I'm not saying they're brand new, but this is the worst one. Has a little, looks like there's a little metal in there. There's a little tiny little scar right there.
Dead on all morning.
How about that little fella?
Oh, that little guy. I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
Not bad though. I mean, not to make the thing lock up. I mean, straight lock up. Oh yeah. Don't mind that, Greta.
How dare you?
I guess the next step is to take these out, see what the connecting rods look like, and probably pop the pistons out, and because you can see those there. There's nothing wrong with them. The mains look good. So, not saying that they're not bent. They could be bent a little bit, I guess. As much fuel as in that friggin' oil, I'd almost think that could have hydro locked. I mean, that's a possibility too, but it still shouldn't be turning that hard. This one as you see, I mean, there's nothing. There's no scarring. Just other than a bunch of carbon buildup. The rings are all still moving. Everything's all in sync. But once I took that one piston out, took this one out, it started moving freely. So let me get the other two out and I'll be back to you. Well, I don't know. Anybody else seen one like that before? Where you just get locked up for no reason? I haven't either. Like, there's still cross hatching. No major problems. I mean, you always see cross hatching even though there's not much. You can see where it slides up and down the rings, which, you know, there's a couple slide marks. I mean, don't get me wrong, it had some miles on this motor, so it's not like it's outrageously new, but I mean, it spins. And let's see if I can find those dots. We didn't skip a beat on the timing. No, there's the dot right there. You kind of see it right above it. So the timing is still on. I mean, maybe that carburetor was just dumping fuel into it and hydro locked it.
It's not only the worst oil spill in U.S. history, it's by far the largest in such a remote, pristine area. The tanker, the Exxon Valdez, had just loaded more than 1 million barrels of Alaskan crude.
Here we are. We're with a motor tore down. I don't know. Anybody else seen this problem before? I have not. I've never seen a motor seized up and you tear it apart and nothing's wrong. Well, I don't know what it is. All I know is it's getting dark and I have a huge mess I gotta clean up, and I don't know. So, Coda came out. Was trying to see what we were doing out here. What do you think? Huh? What do you think? Huh? Yeah. You big old dog. You big old dog, you, huh? Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is gonna wrap it up. I'm not real sure. I think that motor just kind of wanted to be replaced. You know, maybe it had the thought of having a 12 valve.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
The Ford was like, I do not want this motor. This thing is gutless. Let's put something in here that could actually run.
Gene, if you ain't first, you're last. You know what I'm talking about? That phrase is trademark, not to be used without permission of Ricky Bobby.
There could be a possibility that that truck just has a mind of its own and just did not want that motor. Anyways, it's getting to be late. Dinner's probably getting about ready. My wife is probably going, where is Eric at? Well, you guys have a good one. Just remember, if you don't start a project, you can't finish a project. So get off your ass and go start a project. You guys have a good one, huh? We'll see you next time.